what CropPlan Plus does is it allows you to spin up multiple different scenarios. So you could have a pessimistic yield or an optimistic yield. And those are just going to game out all the different numbers for you to actually see that down digitally and what that means for your farm. And so those are just a few examples, but really it just allows you to give you that power to kind of say, okay, this is changing. Let's spin up a new scenario and actually see what that looks like versus in your head.
Welcome everyone to Ag Tech with Andrew. I'm your host, Andrew Bodden, and I'm here joined with Landon Fahlman, who is with FCC AgExpert, and he is the senior product owner for FCC. FCC AgExpert has launched a new product coming out this week, and going to really help farmers improve how they plan their farming. So welcome, Landon. I appreciate you joining me. Our new product is CropPlan Plus, and give us kind of the genesis of why this was created.
Yeah, sounds good. So I think it starts with it wasn't really a new problem that we were setting out to solve, but I think just maybe it's been emphasized over the last, at least in my mind, the last 5 to 10 years is just the importance of the off season. And so I know in my family farm at home, there's been a lot of emphasis now on making sure that we have a really well thought out plan in the off season down to kind of the last dollar, because the numbers are so big nowadays, right? So when you're talking about ordering chemical and fertilizer and seed and making all of your grain marketing plans, there's big money in it. And so I think traditionally farming was thought of as it's a 6-month kind of thing, and now it's definitely year round. And honestly, the most important parts now come in the off season. So that was really kind of behind CropPlan Plus and why we wanted to build the most robust off season planning tool that also carried into in season to allow you to track how you're doing in season versus what you planned, and then we'll get into kind of talking about the power of CropPlan Plus and how it can help you run different scenarios. As we all know, farming changes quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with the off-season side of things. What some of the aspects that are really beneficial now having this tool on the off-season side?
Well, before we had in AgExpert just a really one-dimensional crop planning feature. So it was kind of like, hey, you can make one plan and then you carry that forward. But in reality, things change so quick, whether that be weather conditions, growing conditions, market conditions, whatever the case. There's oftentimes things change and things can change quick. So what CropPlan Plus does is it allows you to spin up multiple different scenarios, right? So you could have a pessimistic yield or an optimistic yield scenario, and those are just going to game out all the different numbers for you to actually see that down digitally and what that means for your farm. And then going forward, as you move into, say, from April to May, you may notice difference in grain prices, and you may want to, if it fits with your rotation, fit a couple of more fields of canola did, like we did on our farm where we could. So we spun up a new plan to kind of track the changes of what we did and why we did it. And so those are just a few examples, but really it just allows you to give you that power to kind of say, okay, this is changing. Let's spin up a new scenario and actually see what that looks like versus in your head.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some of these scenarios you mentioned. Obviously, fertilizer, commodity prices, seeding rates, all of these are different things that can be considered. How does I guess the software figure all this out? And then how do you create an action plan from there?
So Yeah, the way AgExpert is designed, it tracks everything down to kind of the rate, the dollar, at right at the product level. So all your chemicals, your seeds, your fertilizers, all of your grain pricing, all those data points are tracked in AgExpert. So really, when you build out your crop plans, you can get a true representation of exactly what you're looking at for costs, revenue, and then your profit at the end of the day. And those pieces compared to what you're planned for, those get tracked in real time versus how you're doing. So as your activities and your real world contracts and grain marketing, all those pieces flow into AgExpert, it's giving you a side by side look at saying, okay, I projected that we were going to have this for a target yield, but now that we're getting into what things are looking like now pre-harvest or even then during harvest, you can start to see the difference in those, and all those data points kind of together help you make decisions for pricing grain and all those different types of things, and even the big decisions during the growing season. A couple of them are whether you want, if you have adequate rainfall, to apply a little more fertilizer in June, right? Or just recently fungicide has kind of been top of mind in making some of those decisions. So yeah, the power really is in a matter of minutes. You can kind of spin up what that decision looks like from a dollar value, and see if it makes sense versus, again, just kind of going with your gut or your head and not having that down in an easy way. So intuitiveness as well is a big highlight for us. We want to make it as easy as possible to do that. So
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, I was going to ask you about the kind of the spraying and harvest planning and timing and all that stuff. I guess that would be another part of it is the harvest timing based on how things have gone throughout the year. How does that work? How do you integrate that into it? And I guess from harvest, you're obviously helping you decide what to plan the next year and and where to plant it. So walk me through a little bit of that.
yeah, it's a good point. So, I mean, I talked about the in-season part of it and being able to kind of make some of those major in-season decisions, but really with the way that AgExpert is set up, like you mentioned, being able to look back at that year that you just had and kind of say, okay, harvest is in the bin. Let's take a look back at what we actually did versus what we planned, and then start to look at next season. And within, again, another matter of minutes, you can create kind of that rough draft plan for next year, based on kind of what happened in the field there. So crop ag expert is set up, with each crop year has that specific data set. And so it's really nice to be able to have the power of a 3-year crop rotation, all the data and the kind of the digital representation of what actually happened in your farm to kind of make decisions going forward for next year. So maybe you did top dress fertilizer in June, you tracked that it had a nice yield impact. You've got the rainfall amount in there. Maybe you want to plan for some of that next year so that going into the season, you can maybe kind of really budget for that in fertilizer. So I would say the power of data is always a topic, but used in this way, it's very, very impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. I would imagine you can bring in old records as well to integrate that into the system. Um, I mean, we talked a little bit about the technology side and the data side. There's always some concern about AI and what AI is going to do. How do you address that with the farming community to make sure that they're comfortable with going down this path?
Yeah, it's a big topic for sure, and it's I guess, always it's a new topic as well. Every day there seems to be something new with it. But our focus at AgExpert has always been, you own your data, and you are in control of it and choose where to share it. So that's AgExpert wide strategy, specifically with partners. We have a really great partner ecosystem as well that you can choose to. If I want to connect to partner A, I can do so, but it's all in my control, and then I'm free to share my data in and out. So with AI, we're taking the same approach to that you will be able to leverage the power of AI, but just within the AgExpert walls. And so we really want to use it to solve real problems. So one key problem we used it to solve earlier this year was taking pictures of contracts and load slips and settlement agreements, having the system read those and upload those into AgExpert automatically. So it's a huge time saver in regard to manually entering those values in. And so going forward, we really want to be able to allow the data that's in your ag account to be more easily to you. So whether that's the use of an AI assistant, being able to kind of surface those insights to you, allow you to have that at your fingertips to make decisions. That's really our focus, is solving, streamlining workflows, and we don't want to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, for sure.
We want to make sure that everyone knows that, hey, the AI processes and tools that we're using are just inside the AgExpert walls for you to power.
Yeah, that's very comforting to know that it's being controlled, because obviously that's something that we've been dealing with for a long time, that data management side of things. So because you're using AI and you're gathering data, I would imagine you can walk me through how the learning process that the AI software is doing, and how that's going to improve, maybe not after 1 year, but after a couple years, where you get more and more layers of data and understanding.
Yeah, it's been a fun process. Like I mentioned before, it's all very new, and there's a lot of learnings with it. We're definitely treading lightly, because we're just kind of making sure we go at it in a very strategic way, and make sure that we're kind of solving real problems with it. But with the ability to use it, like I said, to make a process easier, that's, I think, where we can hopefully cross that barrier. If there's something that's complex to do as a user, that it's maybe confusing or a little bit intimidating, we're trying to look at ways to use the AI to make that less intimidating, so that it is easier to adopt and more familiar, and you kind of feel like you have that maybe sounding board or voice within the product to help you through some of those things, and even do some of those actions for you, like data collection, data cleaning. We can do things like detecting outlier data based on kind of what you've done in the past. So yeah, talk about now what it looks like compared to a few years from now, when it kind of learns more about your farm's data and how you want to do things. I think the power will just continue to kind of grow with that.
Yeah, that's comforting to know, and it's good to know that if someone commits to this, then that it's going to get better and better as they do that. When you look at kind of the scenario type of things, I'm sure you've gone through this as you were building this, the CropPlan Plus. Can you give us some of the kind of results of some of these scenario things? Like, how are you saving on scenario one? Are you saving on the number of seed, or the number of or the amount of fungicide, or fertilizer, all these different things that you've gone through? I think to have a real world kind of example of this is going to really confirm with your customers that this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I'll give an example from my own family farm. So I'm our farm data manager, and kind of manage a lot of that part of it. And so when we talk about some of the decisions that you could make, like I mentioned, top dress fertilizer, marketing decisions, getting it down to that dollar value where it's not so gut instinct or gambly, right? When you're saying, oh, maybe the price will go up, but hey, if you have your numbers in a place where it's like that you need to market and target X amount to sell at to make this 150 acre profit margin, and the numbers are there, then it just gives you more comfort in that knowledge. And then the second part of that is like, you really can't, it's hard to know what the impact of that top dress fertilizer decision is until you actually track the yield. So with the tools out there now for, AgExpert obviously is the cost of production and tracking down to the penny at that level, but then harnessing grain cart technology to measure, grain off the field and get an accurate yield. Those decisions now you can actually track that impact and then make that decision for next year. So what was the yield response mixed in with the weather conditions compared to, you spent 10,000 and did you make an extra 20,000 or whatever the numbers would be there? You actually within AgExpert have the ability to kind of track all the way through, and then you have that data point reference for next year.
Yeah, that knowledge is certainly very powerful, and you can see the value of it. So when we look at kind of your audience, the farming community, what's the one message that you want to get out to everyone about CropPlan Plus that's going to be really important so they have a good understanding of why they should do it?
Yeah, I would say just the power of having your farm's data in a digital representation is we're starting to track and see the tangible impacts of knowing those numbers and being able to, make sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in decisions, as you go along. I know as a data input is not the funnest piece to a platform, and we all are aware of that. We all know that that's kind of sometimes the last thing that is on the mind during the farming season. But I think just some examples that we've heard through customers, examples of our own using it, the power of having those numbers in a year-over-year basis and being able to go back and look at how you did in your 2024 crop year, your 2025 crop year, see how things are trending year to year from yield performance to cost to, all those different data points and matched with the weather. Once you kind of get into like having 1 or 2 years of data in AgExpert, it's hard to imagine kind of not having that going forward to make those key decisions. So there's a number of different kind of ways and methods out there, and that's the beauty of farmers and farming. It's the most creative place out there for different ways to do it. But yeah, that's all what I would say about CropPlan Plus is we've made it as kind of as easy as possible to, make sure you can get those numbers in an easy way and then utilize them to make, a clean output decision.
That's perfect. I guess the big question for me is, it's hard to get farmers to change, especially if they have been doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm very aware of that. So how do we make that switch? Because I've been doing ag tech for a long time, and I've seen a lot of good technologies come that it just doesn't get adopted the way I think it should. So how do we do that?
Yeah, I wish there was one answer for it. I swear there's a combination of different answers. But hey, AgExpert, has been around. I joined in 2024. It's been around a long time, right? It's been around, I think, 40 years for the accounting product side of it, and then field has been about 10 years. So yeah, I think it's that trust factor is good. We're half the colleagues here at AgExpert also farm as well. So I think just having that kind of key touch point, kind of that farm experience to try to make it as easy and less intimidating as possible. That's I guess what it comes down to for us, but then also showing the value of the output. So we're trying to make sure that we give a why to why would I do that? Why would I take that on? And so with painting pictures like some of these real world examples that we're talking about and seeing the financial impact, that's really what we're trying to drive home with cost to production tracking kind of through from agronomic to financials and every, kind of that 360-degree view of the farm. That's really where we're trying to shine a light on that. And it's a never ending process. It's just trying to, help the realization that, hey, this data is in a good way is going to give you such a big impact as an output.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be the key. And it's when you can show where the value is, it doesn't take long for people to jump on board, and you now have a very good tool to make that happen. Before we say goodbye, Landon, anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
No, I would just say, hey, if you're interested in learning more, visit our website, agexpert.ca. You can sign up for free there, check things out. Phone in the customer care numbers on there. They're always happy to line up a demo or provide assistance or knowledge or whatever the case. So that's what I would say. Go to agexpert.ca and visit there for more information.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, Landon. I really appreciate your time today and learning more about AgExpert's CropPlan Plus. We look forward to seeing real demos very soon, so that's very exciting. And on behalf of Farms.com, I'm Andrew Bodden, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrew.
Stop. All right. Hopefully that